He didn't have a warrant by Carfax Abbey. LAPD, open up. I'd fallen asleep on the couch again. I didn't appreciate the sudden interruption, and I doubly didn't appreciate the first 4 letters it began with. Even though I didn't remember doing anything wrong, cops still filled me with dread. Bang, bang, bang. I staggered to the door and unlocked it. There he was. One cop, tall, thin, pale, and blonde. "Can I help you, officer?" "We're looking for a suspect in your neighborhood," he said. "May I come in?" I blinked. "This suspect isn't in here," I said. "I didn't imply they were, I'd just like to ask you some questions," he said. "You can ask from here." He sighed and pulled out a notepad and pen. He asked what I'd been doing for the last 2 hours. I told him I'd drifted off while watching some horror movie and was fast asleep until he pounded on my door. "You're sure you didn't hear anything at all?" he asked. "Positive." He fidgeted, staring past me into my apartment. "I'd really like to ask you some questions inside," he said. "Sir, unless you have a warrant," I said, "you can't come in." "I know my rights. I've done nothing wrong and I'm just not comfortable inviting people I don't know into my home, even if they are a cop." "What if I have probable cause, because I can see that you have marijuana on your coffee table?" he asked. I looked over my shoulder. There was, in fact, a pipe on my coffee table. "Then I would remind you that it's 2024 and weed is legal in California," I said. Frustrated, he reached into his back pocket and pulled out a faded photograph. "Last question. Have you seen this woman?" I squinted. She did seem awfully familiar. Her eyes were so dark it was almost like she had no mascara at all, and her messy hair seemed to envelop her narrow shoulders. Though it was merely a photograph, it was like she was looking at me, sizing me up, from her little paper prison. I reached for the photo to take a closer look, and that's when he grabbed my arm. His fingers were cold and strong, and I noticed for the first time that each one ended in a sharp nail. They dug into my skin, pricking 5 points of blood. I yanked back with everything I had, stumbling into my apartment. He stumbled, too, but when he hit the threshold, it was like some invisible force knocked him back. He hissed, showing off glinting fangs. "Of course. Cops. Vampires. Both need some kind of invitation." He composed himself. "That'll be all. Have a good evening." He walked quickly away from my apartment. I noticed he did not seem to have a patrol car. He was, however, making his way down my block. I rushed to find my phone. "My neighbor, Linda? She's got a doormat that says, 'Come on in.'"